Welcome back to DONSLIFE, welcome to the channel. Thanks for joining today. The Corvette C8 has a built-in personal data recorder, but let's be honest, when it's recording, it only works when you're driving, and it's only 1080p resolution. Today we're changing that. I'm installing a compact but powerful 4K dash camera that offers HDR, SSD support, real parking mode, and a convenient wireless remote. Introducing the VIOFO A329 dash camera. Let's go. Now I've owned my Corvette C8 for a while now, and I've actually been putting off installing a dash cam until now. I chose to go with the VIOFO A329, not only because it has some of the most powerful specs on the market, but because of its compact design. I'm also going to do a thorough hardwire installation on the Corvette C8 so we can take advantage of parking mode when the vehicle is shut off and unattended. Now I'm going to be going on a road trip here, so this video is actually going to take place over a couple weeks, and that way I can use the dash cam for a while, have it protected with parking mode, as well as record a ton of footage for you and share with you my findings. So here's what we're working with. We have the camera itself, we have our hardwire kit for our parking mode features, we have a wireless remote, which is really cool, we'll get to that in a little bit, and we have our micro SD card. We have an extra adhesive. We have this interface you attach to your windshield, which makes installation a lot easier. We have two of them actually. We have a customer service card. We have our user manual. We have a CPL filter, our circular polarizing filter to help reduce glare. We have our USB-C power cable, our 12-volt power adapter cable. We have a shorter USB cable, probably for connecting to a computer. And we have another one here. And then we have a pry tool here for tucking away wires. Here's our hardwire kit for parking mode. So this is nice because it actually has a voltage cutoff switch. So we can set the voltage to automatically cut off power to the camera to preserve our battery just by making this adjustment here. So if our battery is at risk of depleting, then it will automatically shut off that power and we'll be good to go for the next time we start. And then we have the user manual, show you everything about the actual hardwire kit. So this is the Bluetooth remote control. This is completely optional. This is the battery for it, as well as an adhesive backing to stick it somewhere on the dashboard. Here's our user manual for it. So how this works is as your dash cam's recording, you simply press this button, it'll lock the current footage so you can retrieve it later in case there was an incident you want to review. You can also program these buttons on the side to do various functions such as audio on and off or Wi-Fi on and off, as a couple examples. So some of the specs that matter with this camera are 4K resolution at 60 frames per second, which is going to be super smooth footage. It's great for fast cars like the Corvette C8, and it actually catches license plates and details while we're at speed. To achieve this, it includes the latest Sony STARVIS 2 sensor, specifically the IMX678. It has awesome low light clarity, and night footage is sharp and not grainy. With HDR, it's great for handling changing lighting, no more blown out skies or dark shadows. And with the Wi-Fi 6 protocols, you have faster file transfers when reviewing the footage from your phone. Because I like to do a clean install, I want to be as thorough as possible. I'll stop and show you the important points as we go through the installation on the Corvette C8, and I'm going to make sure I have as little wiring showing as possible. So let's get to it. The Corvette C8 has two fuse panels. We want access to the main rear fuse panel. It involves removing the speaker grille and wireless charging section, often referred to as the waterfall. Don't forget to disconnect the speaker and wireless charger. Once everything is out of the way, we can access our panel. This panel has several options to choose from. I chose location F14, which is a circuit for the cooled seats. I'm a little embarrassed though that I didn't have any fuse taps that were the right size for this install, but I'll definitely get some. For now, I'll use the old school wrap and tuck method. If you're going to do this, be sure to place your wire on the active side of the circuit. You can figure this out with a test light and see which side of the panel is live when a fuse is not in place. Since this is a switched circuit, I need to have the car in accessory mode to confirm. Now I am testing empty spots labeled as not used that have live power from the battery, whether the car is on or off. This can take some trial and error, but this is the main reason I'm using this panel versus the one that's easier to access behind the glove box. This one just has way more options. I eventually decided on F36 and used a 5 amp fuse that I had lying around to use for this connection. Remember, I'm still recommending fuse taps. Just make sure that if you order some, get the right size for your vehicle. With our power needs figured out, I need to plan a route for the wiring to be tucked away safely and also attach our ground wire. I'm taking the opportunity to make sure my battery protection on the Hardwire harness is set to 12 volts. This way I never have to worry about the camera completely draining my battery. Since lots of newer vehicles are made from composites or aluminum, finding a good ground location can be tricky. I know the seat mounts will do the trick. I'll have to clean up my dusty footprint later. Now we want to continue running the wires all the way to the dash camera mounting location. I chose to do this on the passenger side as it's easier to work without a steering wheel in the way. Now you just want to carefully tuck the wires all the way up to the A-pillar while securing the panels behind you as you move along. Now I've performed installs like these dozens of times, so just take your time, plan it out, and be careful working around airbags. Better to disconnect the battery if you aren't sure about this part. Our wiring is secured in the headliner. I've also done some testing, so I know I can start putting everything back. Well, I for one am quite happy with how this install is going. We were able to find some fuse locations quite easily. We were able to route all of our wires in a great place. So a bit of a recap, in the center console in the back there, we had our power and accessory wires running down. We grounded the ground wire to the back seat bolt. Everything's behind the carpet, underneath these trim pieces here, up along the side, up along the A-pillar, and then up across to where our mounting location is going to be. So I've given some thought to mounting. I pulled down the plastic cover that sits here. It's very easy to clip back in. I'll show you that closer in more detail in a moment. But we have our radar detector cable here, which will go that way. And then we have our dash cam camera here, which will plug into the dash cam. But this cover that sits right here actually has a nice mounting spot for a dash camera because it'll sit behind this big mirror mount. Otherwise, I could mount it over in the window here, but then I wouldn't see it from the driver's side if I ever needed to reach over and touch the dash camera. So if I mount it here, the screen sits on a bit of an angle. I should be able to see it if I really need to, but I think this will be a good spot for it, at least with this application. Now this is exciting. Through the magic of editing, I've already been able to procure a couple 3D printed wedges that are going to allow the placement of the camera to be propped up a little bit, because this piece in the front window is usually flat and we need the camera to be mounted at a little bit of an angle because it's designed for a windshield and this camera is only adjustable so far. So right now it's in its bottom position, but just a little bit of an angle will allow it to shoot straight down the road. Trust me, it'll work out. So that concludes the installation, but stick around because we're still going to go over the app, using the camera, some of the features that I like, as well as look at some footage. So stay tuned.
Wi-Fi enabled. Wi-Fi connected.
Let's do a quick review of the app. We'll go to settings. This is where we can adjust our video settings at the top. So we have our video resolution. You can see we only have 3 choices here at 30 frames per second. That's because we have our HDR turned on. So I'll show you the difference in a moment here. Next we have loop recording, which can be adjusted in up to 10-minute intervals. We can choose whether or not to record audio. We can adjust our exposure for the front and optional rear cameras. Now here's the HDR setting. Right now the front camera is on. Now if we go to HDR and we turn the HDR feature off, we'll have more resolution available. It's just changing some configuration here. Now when I go to video resolution, you can see our extra options. So if we went 4K 60 frames per second, that would add extra frames of video to just make a smoother recording overall. I think that's overkill in my opinion, but it's nice to know we have that feature. But I'm gonna change it back to HDR on because I prefer to have the better clarity that comes with HDR. Here we can adjust our G-sensor sensitivity. I'm leaving mine on medium, seems to be adequate. There are lots of options here. I'm not going to stop and go over all of them, but we will look at bitrate since you can adjust how heavy the file is with the level of detail in the file size. This is where you could turn on time-lapse recording. However, we have parking mode enabled, so we're not able to make that adjustment in this screen. Here's all our system settings for time zone, synchronize it to the time and date of your phone if you like, adjust your boot delay. We can have the LED flash or not flash depending if we're in normal recording mode or parking recording. We can manage our SSD storage here. Right now our video storage is to the micro SD card. For parking mode, we have auto event detection turned on, but you can see this is where we can adjust time-lapse recording. And then depending on what we do here, if we have this off or on, it will enable the time-lapse recording we saw above. I'm going to leave this on auto event detection. We have our parking mode detection set to medium. You can adjust it to low or high. This will pick up moving objects. Here's our parking mode adjustments. We can have auto detection, low bit rate, time-lapse settings, or off. If we turned it off, then we would be able to turn on the time-lapse recording that we looked at earlier. We can set our parking recording timer for different intervals from 30 minutes all the way up to 48 hours. Remember, this does have an automatic kill switch or battery voltage detection with the Hardwire kit that we use to install. That way it will shut off if it feels that the battery is at risk of being depleted for the next time you start. We can turn a parking mode timer on or off to have it start either right away or after 90 seconds once the vehicle's door is closed. I have my parking G sensor set to high sensitivity, so if anyone bumps into the vehicle when it's parked, it should pick up the recording right away. Parking motion detection, I'm going to put it on high for now, because we're going to demonstrate this feature with some footage later. You can see we have adjustment options for an optional rear camera, so you can flip the image or rotate the image. Because I don't have one installed, those are not going to be used. You can adjust all your notification sounds to have them on or off. We have voice notification turned on, but we also have voice control, which means you have a set number of voice commands, and here's a list of them here. So as long as you have voice command turned on and we say any of these phrases, the dash camera will actually perform these tasks that are outlined here. And you can see we have a lot more standard adjustments and some extras that not all dash cams are equipped with, but these ones are all pretty straightforward if you look at the listing here. These LEDs on the front are your various indicators for power, recording, GPS, microphone, and Wi-Fi. All of these buttons have different functions depending on your mode. So you can be in recording mode, standby mode, not recording, playlist mode, or your setting mode. So right now we're in recording mode. This button would stop recording. This button will lock whatever recording is taking place.
Video protected.
This will turn the microphone on or off.
Voice recording disabled.
And this here, if I long press it, will turn my Wi-Fi on or off.
Wi-Fi enabled.
So that was an example of the button behavior for recording mode. You also have standby mode, you have playlist mode, and you have setting mode, which will have way more functionality when you're using the app. All the icons on the screen are just showing you which options are on or turned off. Now before we look at some footage, we are going to connect our wireless Bluetooth remote. So we pull this to activate the battery, hold the button down for 3 seconds. This is now paired, we got the blue light.
Video protected.
This controls the camera. Now we just have to choose where to mount this in the car. I think we'll put it right here. Just a quick note, the footage you're about to see was recorded through a layer of windshield protection film. It's there to protect the expensive glass from damage, so if you're noticing any distortion or glare, keep in mind the video quality would be even better without the film. Well, that wraps up my review of the VIOFO A329 dash cam. And you can see from the footage that the image quality and detail really do speak for themselves. I just wish that I had more time to go over every feature with you, including things like HDMI output, backing up your footage directly to an SSD drive without the use of a computer, and even taking full resolution files off of the camera with a USB 3 cable and a compatible phone lightning fast. Those are some serious pro level features. Personally, I'm happy to have this dash camera on board because I have peace of mind with high quality footage around the clock, whether I'm parked or driving. And I also have an exciting update for you. At the time this video is released, you're going to have access to 3 upgraded models. I've been authorized to share with you the new models in the series, the A329S, the A329T, and the A329SW. Don't worry, each of these cameras are going to have everything that we covered in this video and more. They're offering options like waterproof telephoto camera models. All of these models continue to support the 4K front camera, as well as you can add up to 2 additional cameras that run at 2K resolution each, and they still use the latest Sony STARVIS 2 sensors. Plus there's some new features I just didn't get to try out, like low power impact detection and hybrid parking mode. I encourage you to visit the link in the video description below to get all the details. And the sooner you check that out and act, you might be able to take advantage of some launch deals. And with that, if you found the installation and the review helpful, hit that like button, please consider subscribing, and we'll talk to you next time.